Hey, what's up, guys? Russ Anderson, Anderson Security Consulting, andersonsecurityconsulting.com on Facebook and Instagram, Anderson Security Consulting on Twitter. You can find me on exec_protect. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you have any suggestions for a subject or a video that you'd like to see analyzed, or situation or circumstances you want advice on, or anything of that nature, you can do it one of two ways. You can leave a comment in the description below, with all those other things will be linked in the description below as well, to all the social media and everything else, as well as you can send an email to me directly at andersonsecurityconsulting@gmail.com. And again, thank you very much for clicking on this video. Thank you to those who have subscribed. I think we're close to 100 subscribers. That is awesome from the bottom of my heart. I thank all of you very, very much for the faith you're showing in me, and I will continue to improve the content. Like I said, my son has promised to teach me how to use Photoshop. Recently, I haven't put any videos out, and here's a brief description or a brief reason why. Besides running my private investigation, the Anderson Security Consulting Company, which is a private investigation, security consulting, and executive protection company, I also do outside executive protection work that I get contracted by other companies. And on top of that, I'm also working on getting the bail bonds license. Here in the state of Florida, you have to put in so many hours per week. So, and I've got a 16-year-old son, a single dad, divorced. And so I've got to, sometimes my plate gets so full that I just get really, really, busy. That's why sometimes I make car videos, but sometimes I'm even too busy to do that. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for the faith you've shown in subscribing to me, and thank you for clicking on this video. You could be doing anything else. You chose to watch this video with your time. Thank you. I promise not to waste it. So let's go into the meat and potatoes of this particular video. A couple of weeks ago, ex-NFL tight end, Hall of Famer, Shannon Sharpe, on Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. I guess that's coming to an end. He's going to be they're going to be going their separate ways. But his home was burgled, and we've seen over the years a lot of home burglaries in Hollywood, but also very wealthy, prominent, famous people, their homes being burgled. And so here's the truth of that. So we all try to secure our homes. We have doors, windows, locks, and all the rest of these things. We all have, hopefully, you guys have some sort of security system, camera system, alarm system on your house. And you strengthen and harden your doors and windows and things of that nature. People in Hollywood, like Shannon Sharpe lives in the Hollywood Hills. That is not cheap real estate. That's very expensive residential real estate. I used to live in Hollywood, but I didn't live in the hills. I was not residing in the hills. So shout out to him for being successful and being able to afford a place in the hills. But you would think, okay, don't these people have expensive security alarm systems? Yes, they do. They have, they're not going to have your average everyday commercial system. I won't put any names out there, but they have a couple of glass break sensors, some door chimes, some door opening sensors, your alarms, your decibel alarms, your keypad. They're not using those. They're using much more expensive high-end security systems that are designed to protect the things they have in their homes, and they have a lot of things. So as we've seen, the burglars made off with approximately $1 million worth of gear from Mr. Sharpe's house. Unfortunately for him, I'm sure he has insurance, but he has put out a bounty for $50,000. Odds are he'll never find that stuff ever again. So shout out to insurance companies. So here's the truth about expensive homes being burgled. If you are targeted by a sophisticated burglary ring, you have to understand something. Even those high-end security alarm systems are no match for these guys. These guys possess a level of technical sophistication that is unparalleled. So Shannon Sharpe, look, they didn't go into details, but he's got a security system. He's not using your everyday cheapo security alarm system that he pays $100 a month for or $50 a month for. He's got an expensive alarm system, but when you're targeted by these particular types of thieves, it's no match for them. These guys actually have mock setups of all the systems you have and have studied how to defeat these systems, from camera systems to motion sensors to all these different things. They know how to defeat them, and they're incredibly technical, incredibly well skilled, well schooled, and they will practice. So they'll make up a mock of your home inside a warehouse or some other place, and they'll practice defeating your alarm system. Another thing we have to know about burglaries, whether they're high-end burglaries or a home invasion burglary somewhere in the hood, or just your regular, burglary of someone's, residential, home, apartment, or whatever it might be, there's almost always some sort of insider information that has gotten out. Sometimes it's purposeful. Sometimes someone will go to your house and be like, yo, and they go back and tell their crew, look, he's got this, he's got that. Here's what I noticed. And these guys know what to look for to see what type of security you have. He's got this system, that system. Oh, we got that all day, no problem. Or it could have just been something like, man, I went to Shannon Sharpe's house. Oh my God, you got to see all the stuff he's got in his house. Man, he had $100,000 bags. He had Rolexes out the wazoo. The Patek watches and all the rest of it. Man, he had jewels. He had this. He had his Super Bowl rings. I think he's got four Super Bowl rings, 3 or 4 Super Bowl rings with the Broncos and with the Baltimore Ravens. And so someone somewhere knows that you have, or that knew that he had expensive things in his house. Naturally, you can make the assumption, because he's a very prominent and very famous and wealthy man, you're going to make the assumption that he has things in his house. So here's a perspective I've gained. So wealthy people will pay more for their security, but in most cases they still aren't paying enough. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I've worked for a couple of billionaires, and especially the last one I worked for most recently was a couple of years ago. I had to stop working there because the drive was quite a drive. I could make the drive, but now that I've got my son full-time living with me, I couldn't be gone that much. I had to be here to take care of my son. I still do work details, but most of them are local. Some of the ones I've worked that have been out of town, they understand my situation. They've actually made the concession, like, oh, your son can come with you. He can stay at the hotel. Last one was in South Florida, and so he got to hang out at the hotel, eat room service, and I'm sure he had a great time viewing the sights at the pool in South Florida. If you've ever been to South Florida, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm sure he didn't mind too much. So with this billionaire's home, so if you want to defeat these really high-end burglar rings, and they're rings, this is not the work of one person just going in there blind and just making it up as they go. They're a ring. They're organizations, and so they're really, really good. They have personnel, manpower, all these different things. They have technical proficiency that most people just can't even fathom. So I worked at a place personally where the camera system was so sophisticated. It was millions of dollars. And I won't go into details, but we had such sophisticated equipment that was monitored 24 hours a day by armed men. And so even if you did make it onto the ground, you were going to be responded to by armed men, and the police were going to be on the way, and more armed men from another site were going to be on the way. So people were going to be collapsing in on your position even if you made it onto the property. We would know where you were, and we'd know how to vector in, and we had the ability to completely lock down the entire residence to where even an anti-tank rocket, wasn't going to make it through, the windows and doors in this place. It was a dream as far as the technology that was available. That's the type of setup you need to avoid being burgled by some of these really sophisticated rings. So what I try to tell wealthy people is this, and we've seen things where, I think it was 5-6 years ago, the actress or actor Sandra Bullock, someone invaded her house. Excuse me. Someone did a home invasion, broke into her home, not to steal things, but they were stalking the lady. She was home alone, and she lived in California. So she's on the phone with 911 for 15 minutes, hiding in a closet asking for help, and she was on there for 15 minutes. Let's put that in perspective. She's a very wealthy person. She's online for 15 minutes waiting for either LAPD or LA County Sheriffs to get to her home. Thank goodness, nothing happened. She was okay. The person was arrested. He was prosecuted, and I'm sure after that she improved her security a significant amount. So they'll spend some money, but they're not spending enough money. And what they really should do is hire a security consultant, not just an alarm system company. Alarm system company, not putting them down at all. There are great companies out there, and I'm sure they're doing everything they're doing, but you have to have a higher level of sophistication when you're wealthy, you're famous, and you got a lot of nice stuff in your house, and you live in a very wealthy residential area, or a zip code or whatever it might be. And I've been in some really wealthy places, and I've visited some really wealthy people, and one in particular, again, I won't go into where or who, obviously, but this guy's super wealthy. I mean, like private jet money wealthy. He had, at one point, I think he had 2 private jets. I got to his house, he wasn't there. Him and his family weren't there, right? And I was like, okay, I called him. I called him up and said, look, I'm at your place. I'll wait till you guys get home. Don't worry, we don't lock the doors. Everything's open. And literally, my jaw almost hit the ground. Like, what? Like, how is, like? And you had to see this place. Beautiful place, nestled in, well, I won't go into geographical area, but one of the most picturesque places you can imagine. And this place was just a monstrous house. I mean, the kitchen and dining area were bigger than my place. I mean, just a big, giant place with like a 12-car garage. I mean, it was palatial. It wasn't big as the other billionaire's place I used to work at, but it was a huge place. And sorry about that. I've got some allergies right now, so if my voice sounds a little nasally, that's why. I've got some allergy issues. But the fact that they didn't lock their doors, they didn't lock their windows, the garage wasn't secure. And I was like, so when they got home, I said to them, I said, yeah, I didn't go in the house, just out of just practice. I didn't go in the house. And I was like, why don't you lock your doors? And he's like, look, we live in one of the safest zip codes in the country. Nobody's going to rob. Nobody's going to burgle our home here. I was like, yeah, okay. They don't until they do. And, and so I advised them. They were friends of mine. I wasn't there on business, but I actually advised them on how to secure their house. I would say that one of the first things you should do is, if you have locks, use them. But they did wind up getting a very good setup, but the setup can't just be an alarm system. There's an alarm system, but there's also educating the residents on how to maintain a more secure lifestyle. That doesn't mean you're on lockdown 24 hours a day. You still want to enjoy your life and the trappings of wealth and the things that wealth allows you to do. And even if you're not wealthy, you still want to be able to enjoy your life. Life is meant to be lived. But there is an education process that needs to take place about how to be more secure and how to secure your stuff. And again, I'm not going to give that away, because in the words of the immortal Donald Goins, who wrote the books about the pimp, Iceberg Slim, the game is to be sold, not to be told. I do this for a living, not for free. I do make these videos for free. Speaking of that, it's free to click like. So please, if this video had any value to you whatsoever, click like. To go even further, even if you're not a billionaire, if you're not a millionaire, if you're not wealthy, you can still be famous. I made a video about a young lady named Christina Grimmie, who was famous, but she wasn't wealthy. And because she didn't have the wealth, she didn't have the ability to secure her lifestyle or herself in her public appearances. And a stalker had the intention of ending her, and he did so, unfortunately. Rest in peace and condolences to the family. And we don't want to see anybody get harmed, but let's be real. We live in the real world, and bad things happen. There are people who are bad people. There are people who have bad intentions. So you yourself can make your life more secure by being careful, by being prudent about who you let into your home, who you tell about the things in your home, who you tell where you live. All these things you should try to keep to yourself as best you can. within reason. There's only so much we can do, but stop bragging about the things that you have. Stop doing things like if you've got a bunch of really expensive stuff in your house, stop putting it on social media. Stop doing that sort of thing. Be more vague about the things that you do and the things that you have. And these are some of the things that I coach wealthy people on how to, when I'm coaching them how to live a more secure lifestyle. Everyone doesn't need executive protection. Sometimes it's situational when they might need executive protection. Everyone doesn't need a full-time detail. I've worked on full-time 24 hours a day, 365 day a year details before. Those are rare. But if you are wealthy and famous, you do need to understand how to conduct yourself in a more secure manner so that you don't inadvertently put a target on your back. And some of these celebrities, they're famous, and I don't know if some of you may or may not remember the TV show. Well, there's a channel, MTV. I haven't had cable in decades. I think cable's kind of going the way of the dodo bird. More and fewer and fewer people use cable. But MTV Cribs, or MTV Cribs, they do tours of very wealthy people's houses, and they even show where they are. Oh, they're in this Beverly Hills, and they're all in this drive or that street or whatever else, and look at all the stuff they've got. And these people would proudly show off their stuff. Man, look at this shoe collection. This dude's got 1,000 pair of Jordans and other collectible shoes. He's got mink coats. He's got his jewelry over here, everything on display. The watch closet with like $2, $3, $4, $5 million worth of watches. Wow, that Robin Leach thing. The lifestyles of the rich and famous. Some of y'all probably won't remember that show. So maybe I'm showing my age a little bit, but stop showing people what you have. And stop showing people that should know where you live. Start being more careful about things like that. And this is not to plant the seeds of paranoia in anybody's head. This is just so that we understand that we live in a surveillance age nowadays. And I tell my son this, and I tell other people this: consider yourself under surveillance, video and audio, as soon as you leave your home. As soon as you leave your home, you're being watched. You're being cataloged, you're being checked in, checked out, all the rest of these things, even inadvertently. People can check you into places on different social media platforms. And again, I go back to the gentleman Pop Smoke, who was deleted in a home invasion robbery in Hollywood. I think he was renting a home in Hollywood. He's originally a drill rapper from New York. I think he might have been from Brooklyn or the Bronx, I'm not sure. Shout out to all my Bronx people. I'm from the Bronx. Shout out to all my New York people and my LA people and everybody else, wherever you might be, all over the United States of America. And he inadvertently posted his address while showing off something like a bag, an expensive bag that had been delivered to his place. And I don't understand who on earth is paying for these bags $20, $30, $50, $100, $200,000 for one bag. I don't get it, but I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a billionaire, so that's not what I would do. But this is just a quick tip and a brief explanation. Shannon Sharpe will probably never see his stuff. There probably was some insider information given out, maybe inadvertently, maybe on purpose. But most of these burglaries, the high-end places, almost always an inside job, and almost always, 99% of the time, it was a setup. Anyway, this is your boy Russ. Comment in the description below, and just a quick note to some of y'all, man. I do not look like Michael Clark Duncan or John Coffey, and I don't I don't look like him at all. Anyway, my son just walked in, just got home. Anyway, so again, it's your boy Russ. Please comment, like, subscribe, and thank you again for those who have subscribed. If you haven't, please consider doing so. I'll be continuing to put out good content and try to keep improving the quality. Anyway, thank you very much. I'm out.